Hey folks, COVID and Omicron were kicking our butts while we were trying to get this video together.
So it is a little bit more professional and sterile than we'd like future videos to be.
There was also a lot to cover, so we kind of squished everything together.
But we hope you enjoy.
We look forward to meeting you in a more deeper, a little less formal way
In our future NoW videos.
The young people who develop Nation of Wellness, or NoW, prefer the term social innovation to the funder's intervention to describe their project. Because innovation is about coming up with something new, their proposal focused not on what they would do, but how they would do it. Through a constellation model of governance, where a stewarding group approves constellations as the need and desire arises, which change or end as that need or desire or the group's priorities change. A first constellation called Youth Peer Group began running in 2 cities, Abbotsford and Mission. It was meant to be a place where young people who use or are affected by substance use could work to affect the community in ways that might improve the mental health and well-being for them and their peers. One of the first things they did was provide answers in a video to the question, should a group like this even exist? COVID-19 hit. While tremendously disruptive, members of NoW started to reflect how, for many folks, it was nothing new. Can't go to the prom or graduation? Can't get the things you need at the store? Can't get together with a group of supportive friends? Join the club. NoW held its first online conference, drawing connections between the grief of COVID and the grief that folks who have been involved in the foster system often face. As summer approached and all the partners they planned to work with were just trying to not sink in the COVID morass, the Abbotsford School District helped advertise a new project for which there was only a name. 15 diverse people aged 14 to 26 were hired to take a 6-week learning journey. What is a learning journey? The answer, hopefully, you'll be able to say at the end of the 6 weeks. No grades, no tests, no set subject, no one but yourself to satisfy. You'd think the participants would be in heaven. Instead, the lack of a cage made people consider the cage they might carry in their own minds. Youth were scared to do whatever they wanted. What if they did it poorly? What if they got stuck? Would they get in trouble? Would the opportunity be taken from them? They were just starting to enjoy the company of the other participants in our weekly outdoor socially distanced meeting. As the weeks progressed, they started to question where this cage came from and how it was affected by their families, friends, and school, how it limits them, how it comforts them, how they feel about those limits and comforts. That project culminated in a report co-constructed with our embedded developmental evaluation partner, the Center for Health Evaluation and Outcome Sciences, or CHAOS, out of the University of British Columbia. A big topic that arose from the summer learning journeys was the reasons that some youth use cannabis and how use can interact with mental health in ways that might feel helpful or unhelpful, and how stigma and laws might further affect mental health. They dove into an exploration of research that has been done on youth cannabis use. Their first paper identified that youth who use cannabis are more likely to perform poorly in school. Youth started to question, was it cannabis use that caused the poor performance? Or might there be other things that could be influencing both the use and the performance? And how are they defining cannabis use? How are they defining school performance? These questions grew as big as, is it always a bad thing when someone doesn't perform well in our schools? Do our schools need to change? If so, how? Of course, they then figured out what all the correct answers were to all those questions. No. But they did apply for and get a grant from the Canadian Institute for Health Research to continue this learning journey. And many other opportunities and ideas formed into new constellations. They were approached by the school district to review a video on the fentanyl overdose crisis that they were considering bringing into classes. While the NoW contributors thought there was a lot that was accurate in the video, for some people and their circumstances, they thought it basically presented 2 options: experiment with drugs and fall down a slippery slope to your demise, or don't experiment with drugs. They worried that that message might convey the idea that there are smart people who don't experiment with drugs and stupid people who do. The youth, many of whom had had devastating personal losses in the contaminated drug crisis, were 100% behind the idea that this subject needed to be discussed. They were concerned, however, that if it was shown in a class with someone who was already using drugs, or who had friends, family, or other loved ones who did, the effect could be to feel more isolated just when support was needed. Yes, the video carried a strong emotional punch. But is that what people, especially those who are struggling, need? What do those people need? If not showing this video, what should the community do about this and other complex crises? They figured that all out too. No. But they did start a new constellation calling it Just for Now. The idea is that, to some questions, there may be no right answer. The best we may be able to do is come up with the best answer we can for now, and explore and play around with that answer until it leads us to another question. There's another report from Chaos related to this. They've started and continued other constellations too. Youth Peer Group has morphed into more of a activity group where people can make their initial contact with NoW opportunities and grow and maintain relationships among its contributors and participants. There's Devil's Club, put on for and by mostly urban indigenous youth who feel disconnected from their culture due to engagement with the child welfare system, current and historical homelessness, and or medicating their sense of dislocation through substance use. There have been lots of ad hoc consultations with community entities, especially health authorities and school districts, who are seeking feedback on their developing or existing youth-targeted health promotion and educational initiatives. And of course, there is the Nation of Wellness Stewarding Group that continues to evolve and to explore the best, most effective, and efficient ways to promote mental health and wellness, at least for now.
Why should groups like YPG exist?
So I can experience that more.
Yeah, we need to hear more of that in our lives.